Next, we're going to make our belt loops. Now, a little trick that will help us get through this is to label which is your right belt piece along with which is your left belt piece. Okay, so a little labels on mine. So let's just start with the right one, because what you do to the right one, you will also need to do to your left. Okay, so we're going to take our belt piece, and with right sides together, we're gonna pin all along this pointed end all the way down to the non-pointed end. And when we go to sew this belt loop, we're going to leave only this part free, which will help us turn our belt to the right side. Okay, so pin along this raw edge here, and also all the way to this pointed end, and then you're going to sew along this pointed end as well. So you're going to sew here along this top edge all the way, stopping at this end. You're going to do this for both your right belt loop and also for your left belt loop piece. Okay, make sure you keep those labeled, because that will help you figure out where your belt loops will be placed on your top. Once you have your ties sewn up, give them a good press. Place your labels back on like I did here. Okay, and then we will go ahead and attach this to our top. Now, grabbing my top, we already sewn our shoulder seams. I went ahead and serged the raw edges there. And now we're going to go back down to the hem of our top where we left the opening here. And since we know that this is my right side and this is my left side, I'm going to go ahead and take my right belt loop, sandwich that in here between the back and the front pieces. Okay, so we're going to just attach the belt loop and pin it down so that now we will have our ties for our top in between our front and back pieces, right? Do that there. I'm just going to let that hang out from the bottom there so it doesn't get in the way. Now we're going to go ahead and attach our left belt over here, belt or tie. There we go. Right, making sure that I have both my front and then my back piece here. Okay, so pin those down, and now we are safe to go ahead and sew our side seams, and then serge your side seams as well to give it a clean finish. Okay, so let's sew this up. We're at the sewing machine using that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance there. Right, this gauge will just help me make sure that I keep my fabric straight. All right, now let's get going. I'm going to stop here to make sure that all my layers are laying flat, so I don't have any buckling underneath here. I just like to do that just to make sure that nothing is out of place here, right? Because here we're going to start to sew our ruffle down along the side seam, right? Here we go. Here I got my belt piece that I'm making sure is laying flat in here. Okay. All right, here we go. All right.